Which brings us to the second point, Dr. Kaiser, and all the folks say, okay, if the science tells us that, now we got to get to the next part after God created, and that is, what is the meaning, the literal meaning of the word day in Genesis 1 and 2? Because they're saying, hey, we know what a word day means. I mean, that's 24 hours. So Hugh's talking here, 13.7 billion. Yeah. Can we reconcile these two? And we're talking about a literal interpretation of the Bible, okay?
Yeah, right.
Can we do that?
Yeah, I'd like what Hugh has said, but it's also wonderful that God put the cookies on the bottom shelf, too, for everyone so that they could say, well, that must have been in the beginning of what you're talking about. And it was. By the way, too, some of the Bibles will translate it, when God began to create the heavens and the earth was without form and void. Then God said, verse 3, they put it in a when-then construction because in the Babylonian stories, it's supposed to be in a when-then construction. But actually, you can't do that with the Hebrew grammar here. That's a no-no because it does not have a preposition in front of it. It really is, that is a prepositional phrase of the sort that is wanted here for a when-then kind of construction. That does occur, say like in Hosea chapter 1, verses 1 and 2. That's exactly what they want. There are a dozen places in the Bible, but not this place. This one is very clear, and it is an absolute beginning. And that's why when we come to look at the rest of the text, even like the word day, we've got to pay attention to the uses of the word in the text. We can't put our definition on it. Literal in the Bible is what the Bible meant, the person who stood in the counsel of God and heard God speak. So he has first rights to speak, then we can come along. And the word day there is used in three different ways. Day is daylight as opposed to nighttime, so it's 12 hours. That's verse 5 for daytime. Day is 24 hours. That's verse 14. God put the greater light and the lesser light. He didn't say sun and moon. He didn't want them to worship that. Greater light and lesser light for days and for seasons and years. That's 24 hours. And then in 2:4, he summarizes the whole thing in the day that the Lord God created the heaven and the earth. That's like in the day of Abraham Lincoln, in the day of the phonograph, in the day of whatever. So we ought to be warned. The text itself uses the word in three different ways. And one more, John, and that is in a psalm written by Moses, Psalm 90, same writer that wrote this material. He says, a day with the Lord is as 1,000 years. Now, I've got to pay attention to that because when the same writer uses the word with that amount of what some would call elasticity, then I better pay attention to his meaning because that's what the literal meaning is. The one who stood in the counsel of God and heard the word from on high.